because we got this free link. Okay, so I'm actually going to change plans slightly. So we were about to start. Okay, we were in the sugya of cholik al rabo, which has to do with your rav giving you permission to do Horaah, and then from there we segued into the sugya of Semichah, which is a function of dayanim. Okay, and what I was originally going to do is I was going to go over Semichah, Mosaic Semichah through the dayanim thing, and then at the end contrast that with Semichah b'zman hazeh. I think what would actually be clear for us if I start off with the Aruch HaShulchan's concise summary of Semichah b'zman hazeh with that dayanis, where he defines what Semichah b'zman hazeh is, especially because the Rambam doesn't talk about it. And then I also want to clarify, I made the distinction last week between Horaah as a function of learning and then Semichah as a judicial authorized thing. And I mentioned Rabbi Maroof's write-up on that. And so I found Rabbi Maroof's write-up, which I just want to read a couple paragraphs from, and then we'll go into the Semichah thing. So even though this is not Rambam right now. Okay, so Aruch HaShulchan is in Yore Reish Mem Beis. I'll share the screen. Oh, also because our yeah, it'll be you'll see what I mean by that phrasing in a little while. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Maybe I Reish Mem Beis Chav Ches. Also, I wanted to note that it's possible that I totally forgot how these free Zoom accounts work. I think they go off after 45 minutes.
I think it's 40.
40? Okay, fine. Yeah, all right, fine. So we'll see what happens. If it gets cut off, then I guess that's when we're going to end shiur. Okay, or at least that's where we're going to end the recording. What? Okay, so here's what. Actually, I'm actually going to start with the Rabbi Maroof thing. You could just tell this Rabbi Maroof women in Horaah, and we're not going into the whole women in Horaah thing because that's in a different area of the Rambam. So I just want to read this is Rabbi Maroof within his English summary of this thing, within his English article on this. Then he differentiates between Horaah and what he calls a psak din. Okay, so he says the literal meaning of Horaah is teaching or instruction. Oh, let me just make sure this is my setting. Yeah. Okay. The literal meaning of Horaah is teaching or instruction. Indeed, the words Horaah and Torah share the same Hebrew root. Specifically, Horaah refers to the application of the abstract principles of Torah law to the concrete particulars of life. In essence, then, Horaah is nothing more than a byproduct of intensive Torah study. When one develops a thorough and comprehensive theoretical knowledge of an area of Jewish law and applies that knowledge to the practical exigencies of life, one is basically engaging in Horaah. That is not to say that all Torah study is created equal. On the contrary, the validity. Oh, that's nice. This meeting now is unlimited minutes.
I wonder if you had that in the shower.
If what?
Wasn't there a problem with the account?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I wonder if that changed things. Okay, fine. That. Hold on just 1 second though. All right, whatever. Because the thing is right now it's recording not on the cloud, and that's extremely annoying. But whatever. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so that is not to say that all Torah study is created equal. On the contrary, the validity of any Horaah will be a function of the quality of the research and analysis that preceded it. Not all explanations are correct, not all interpretations are valid, and not all conclusions are warranted. Even the most distinguished and scholarly yeshiva students, rabbis, men and women are subject to occasional error, flaws in reasoning, forgetfulness, and bias. As the Ramah explains this is the simon that we were going to be doing, in Reish Mem Beis Yodalad. Okay, we'll see that in the Aruch HaShulchan. Both halacha and tradition dictate that one may not rely upon or encourage others to rely upon the conclusions that emerge from one's personal analysis of the law until one has received explicit permission to do so from one's teacher. This actually is interesting because Oren was asking if you are allowed to rely on your own conclusions for your own action without the approval of your Rav. And I said based on the Rambam, the answer would seem to be yes, but Rabbi Maroof is saying that the Ramah holds you can't even rely on your own conclusions without permission from your Rav. I haven't seen that Ramah inside in a while. This restriction, similar to secular quality control laws that require doctors, lawyers, etc., to receive an accredited education and be licensed before practicing their fields, prevents students who are insufficiently prepared from adhering to or disseminating their own incorrect rulings prematurely. Okay, fine. One more paragraph here. On Horaah. Be that as may, the fact remains that the goal of all learning is to bring the practical implications of Torah to bear upon our lives. Therefore, we can safely assert, at least in theory, that every well-executed, sincere, and genuine act of Talmud Torah has the potential to culminate in some kind of Horaah, whether it is a Horaah to oneself or a Horaah to someone else. The essential point here is that the core of any given act of Horaah is the process of Torah study upon which it is based and from which it emerges, and that this process is equally accessible to competent men and competent women. So that's Horaah, and this is why, there's that tefillah that's printed on all the shasas that people don't actually say about the tefillah upon entering the base midrash and the tefillah on exiting. I forgot who I read this in, that we're not knowing to say that anymore because our Talmud Torah doesn't really culminate in Horaah. But back then, like that, you look at the way that the Rambam describes Talmud Torah, it would culminate in Horaah. Okay, so that's Horaah, and that's relevant to your Rav giving you permission. Okay, now contrast that with what Rabbi Maroof writes next, which is going to be relevant to Semichah. Okay, judgment, or peskias din, on the other hand, derives its validity not from the process that produces it, but from the stature of the one who issues it. Judgment is, by its very nature, an act of governance, srara, and an exercise of personal authoritative leadership, rather than the outgrowth of a specific act of Talmud Torah. In this sense, serving as a judge is more akin to receiving the original form of smicha that was conferred from rabbi to student from the days of Moshe Rabbeinu until persecutions led to its discontinuation during the Talmudic period. The quality of being a musmach, or a bal hamasora, inheres in the recipient, endowing his person with unique legal authority, srara, and his decisions with legitimacy and binding force. In the framework of peskias din, then, the legal decisions of the individual are manifestations of the special status with which he is vested and take effect by virtue of that status alone. Since today we lack the authentic Sinaitic ordination, a lone judge cannot arrogate to himself the level of authority once possessed by a yachid mumche hamusmach, an expert ordained authority, or whatever. Instead granted to the collective of 3 judges who convene a beis din. Once the beis din rules on a case, this ruling cannot be reversed unless a manifest error in the proceedings is discovered. This is because the binding nature of the decision is intrinsic, enshrined by the authority of the team of judges, and not contingent upon any other factor. That is the last thing I want to read here. So just to clarify here, you have Horaah, which I like his analogy here. Horaah is basically like quality control. And being higila Horaah means you are on the level to produce that quality of instruction and teaching, but you need your Rav's approval in order to, according to the Rambam, to dispense public Horaah, and according to the Ramah, apparently even in order to rely on your own Horaah. Then peskias din is an act of judiciary authority. So if I want to come up with my own analogy, I think it'd be like if you go to a lawyer and ask for legal advice, that's one thing. But then if you need a notary public, you need to be certified and have your special stamp, and and that creates an actual legal status. Just one second. And that is in the realm of smicha. And then within that realm of smicha, you have the smicha Moshe Rabbeinu, which we're going to see the halachos from in a little while. And then you have the realm of modern day beis din smicha of dayanim, which is still extant. Yeah.
But you don't need to have smicha being a beis din.
You don't need to have. You mean like Mosaic smicha, or you mean like modern day what we call smicha?
Either.
Right. So, but the beis din still has authority, though. That's the thing. It still has independent authority, and for certain things, then I believe you do need a level of expertise, but I don't know what the nature of that expertise is. Say that again. Well, right. So, but you definitely need Mosaic smicha for certain things. Right, for din and fashos. Right. Anybody? Yeah, we'll read that in a second.
I just confused with voice things. Are you saying Horaah needs a process?
Horaah is a culmination of a process of normal learning, and it's a process where it eventuates in what you in application to practical cases. And he's saying for that you need the permission of your Rav. Yeah. That's what he's saying. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that kind of gets into the question of what Horaah is, but yeah.
So that means the bar for
even Pesach is much for posking is much lower than for teaching Torah.
Correct, because teaching Torah can remain on the abstract, but poskening, meaning Horaah, is requires
No, one posking be peskias.
Oh, you're talking about peskias din, the way he's using the word peskias din.
So
I guess it depends, right? I mean, it depends on who we allow into this position of authority, right? That's what Chaim was asking about with the Yachid Mumcha, Hamusmach. Right, right, yeah. You have to be functioning in the capacity of a judge for this. Okay, yeah. I mean, this is an opinion. This is Horaah. Yeah.
so when you give Pesach, wouldn't that be more akin to peskias din? So therefore, you don't.
No, that's not what he's saying. That what we call Pesach, halachically is called Horaah, and what he's calling peskias din is a ruling of is an exercise of srara of judicial authority. Correct. Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Okay. On the other hand,
Or at the very least, he's saying. I mean, he did, to be technical. He doesn't say that for Horaah. He says the opposite of that for peskias din, right? But you're right. The implication. Yeah. 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 I mean, there's nothing to say. I mean, according to my understanding, like if you get like if someone gives you Horaah, it's not like it's usher for you to. So, but what's the nature of that isser? Right. Yeah. Right. Right. But let's say you go to someone else and they paskin. So this is. I mean, this is. I give a shiur in this. Yeah. So that's what I'm not sure is a. I don't know. I'm not convinced that that's true. Okay. Yeah. I'm just not convinced that that's. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Rambam definitely doesn't seem to hold that, right? I mean. Right. Right. I mean, I've just never. I mean, it's again. I don't know all of the Rambam here, but I've just never seen that in the Rambam. You know, I don't know. I don't know how we poskin, and I don't know what that means. But yeah. Yeah.
So therefore, means like say about I guess of a photo of the goes between a gadol and the local vod of Sosa rabbis go with the local vod.
So that's what the Aruch addresses. Okay, so I just want to let's read. There's only two sifim in the Aruch that address this. Oops, I just clicked on something. Why? Where did that take me? Oh, I clicked on the Torah. I want Aruch. Okay, so he's going to address two things. One is the difference between what we call smicha now, and the other one is smicha in terms of the Morad Asra. Okay, so yeah. Okay. So he says like this, the Aruch HaShulchan in Yordei Reishman Beis Chavches. Bizman habayis v'gam achar kach bizman chachmei hashas haisonu hegas hasmicha. So in the time of the Beis Mikdash and afterwards in the time of Chazal, then smicha was practiced. V'hainu, namely shesamchu lehechacham ladun dine knasos v'dine nefashos, that they would somech, whatever you want, ordain a chacham to judge the laws of knasos, of I guess monetary penalties, and the laws of capital cases. Because for other things you don't need smicha. So those are the two areas where smicha authorizes you, and it's knasos and then dina nefashos. Ubiarnu kolze b'choshen mishpat siman gimel ayin sham, which I have not seen yet. Ushlosha musmachim, 3 musmachim. Shehem, now again we're talking like real smicha. Shehem musmachim mimusmachim ad Moshe Rabbeinu shesamach liYoshua. That smicha musmachim from musmachim going all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu who gave smicha to Yeshua. Yeshua samach lacherim, and Yeshua gave smicha to others. Lacherim lacherim. According also Rebbe, and they call those people Rebbe, right? And this is why in the Gemara there are a bunch of Chazal who are not called Rebbe because they didn't have smicha, right? But they were Higil Horaah. Okay, Vasmicha he davka be'eretz Yisrael. Smicha is only in Eretz Yisrael. We're going to see this in the Rambam. Kamosha kasavti sham. Once we were dispersed throughout all the lands, Smicha was nullified. We no longer have the ability to enact dine knasos or all the more so dine nefashos. V'rak b'dine mamanos shlichu saihu de kamai ka'avdinan. I don't know what that phrase means, but with dine mamanos, with monetary cases, their shlichus from before is what we are doing. Kamosha bi'arnu kolzeh b'reish siman aleph ein sham. I think this is going to be in that area of kosher mishpah, which I didn't go into. And this is where I think that there is a reality of smicha or of dayanim for Beis Din, but I haven't been through those halachos. We're not allowed to do dine knasos, he says. Yeah, he says dine mamanos, yes, but not dine knasos. Ubi'arnu sham de smicha zohi rak zecher ba'alma v'itkanz ramoseno, and we explain there that smicha is just a zecher ba'alma. I've never heard of this either, to the tkana of the chachamim. Okay, so that's an interesting thing. We might need to look at that. What do you say?
What about taxes?
I don't think we have taxes that are like authorized in the time, like that are knas level taxes.
I mean, for instance, like for the other impression that Beis Din halachically they can collect taxes and have say taxes to have a gate.
Oh yeah, I don't know what the
Still,
yeah, I don't know.
Wasn't there like local authority where the towns have to make gates and?
Yeah, I don't know how that works out nowadays.
In the form of local tax. What?
Right, knasos are like penal.
Yeah, I
right,
understand it's
yeah.
not knas.
Right.
Like, I know it's not knas.
Yeah, I mean, this also gets into a question of like, you hear about bate dinim, even now, but back then making gezeros. I don't know what the deal is with bate dinim making gezeros also. I mean, what I don't want to do, by the way, is, which I realize I'm kind of skirting the line here. I don't want to go into full issues of what rabbinic authority is now today. Anyway, I just wanted to go into the smicha thing and the Horaah thing just to differentiate the two. But I just want to read this one more paragraph, which will address your thing. V'kahu biruran shadvarim. Here's the explanation. Okay, this is where it differentiates. The inyan hasmicha. Oh, and by the way, this is in the parak on kavod rabba v'tamid chacham. So that's why we're local here. The inyan hasmicha b'zman hazeh k'dei sheyidu kol ha'am shehagi laHoraah. Smicha nowadays is so that all the people will know that you are hagi laHoraah, that you reach the level where you can give Horaah. Uma shemora hu b'rshus rabbu hasomcho, and that what you are more is with the permission of Yora. So it serves smicha today serves a double function, that you are on the level to give what we call psak, to give Horaah, and that your Rebbe has given you permission to do so. Because of Rabbeinu Haramah, the Lahem im kvar meis rabo enot tzarech lesmichus. So that's why that's a little interesting. The Ramah says that if your Rebbe dies, you don't need smichus. I can understand why you wouldn't need smichus to indicate that your Rav gave you permission, because you would no longer need permission. Yeah, right. That's why I would still think it's relevant to indicate that you're higil Horaah. And you don't need smichus for a talmid chaver. What would that mean? Alkan Lashono. I'm not sure what this means. Ulfika hazmanim shalafeinenu. Therefore, in the times before us, I don't know if he means. Sounds like he means like. What do you mean shalafeinenu? Not like in prior ages. Oh yeah. V'od midoros hakadmonim, and even ancient ages. Shakol ir bocheres la rav muvhak lahoros v'ladun, where every city chose for itself a main rav to give Horaah and to judge. The nechshav kirav muvhak lachol ha'ir v'hasaviva, and he's considered to be the rav muvhak of the entire city and the surroundings. Ve'in rushus la'acher afilu higia lahoraah lahoros v'ladun b'makom zeh. No one, even someone who's higia lahoraah, does not have. No one has permission to give Horaah and to judge in this location. Ela imkein nosein lo rav ha'ir rishus, until the rav of the ear gives him permission. Lezen nosein lo hasmicha. For this reason, they give him smicha, kadei sheyuchlu lebochro l'rav eze kihila, so that he is able to choose a rav for every congregation. Aval below smicha, but without smicha, asur lios rav or mored tzedek. It's asur to be a rav or a mored tzedek. V'chein nahagu mikad monenu, and this is how we've been practicing since our early ages, and God forbid that we change. He summarizes again, this is what smicha is. it's like the taking of permission and testimony that you have reached Horaah. So the thing I just don't understand here is, it sounds like he's saying that there's a smicha of the Rav of the city that the Rav of the city needs to give out to authorize people to paskin within that area. I've never heard of such a smicha now. Like the smicha we have really seems to be like what he says is the ikar smicha. Right. Yeah. Mhm. Right. That I have heard of. Right. Okay, so that might be what he's talking. Right. Yeah, it's just like the only smicha I hear that I know of that we're nohek is like a rav who you learn under, right? Or you seek out additional smichas from like other people just to almost like degrees of some sort. Yeah.
It seems like he's saying the ikar smicha is just like I said, permission kind of thing. That's just, and then the idea of like showing is just like a side thing, and that the individuals that except for like maybe a couple of except for say some of the chasim like saying curious there's no one cares about permission anymore.
I don't know what goes on in Kiryas Yoel.
I'm just assuming nothing would.
I don't know. I doubt they pass against the Rebbe.
Yeah.
So I don't think they don't care about permission.
Although,
Yeah.
that's what I said.
I don't get it. I don't get what you're saying.
And then curious
Meaning they davka do care about permission.
Exactly.
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay. We don't. Yeah.
Does.
Oh, okay. I got it. Okay. Yeah, but I don't think we don't though. I think we don't care about the rub of the ear permission. I think people still care about like no one's going to go and just fabricate the title of rabbi for themselves, without being affiliated with an institution.
That's people are fine just moving into the city, and I don't think, and just saying they're going to shiur in competition with others, and I don't think people, and how do people think of visceral policy?
Yeah.
Teaching without permission from.
Right. I mean, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really care about statistics. I just care about the halacha right now. Yeah. Yeah. So just to summarize all this before we go back to the Rambam, we have here, I think, 4 categories now. Okay. We have higil Horaah, where you need permission from your Rebbe to paskin or to give Horaah. Okay. Right. And that's a direct din in kavod harav. Okay. Then we have Mosaic Semichah, which authorizes you to do din in dine knasos and dine nefashos. Then we have this other type of dayanus that Aruch says he explains in the Choshen Mishpat, which we have not read, which is somehow takanas chachamim as zecher ba'alma, that somehow gives some authority to a beis din of 3 nowadays. And then we have permission from the local rav to paskin in his jurisdiction, and that's for Horaah. Okay, that at least is a map of the areas, even though there's still fog of war like on Choshen Mishpat Gimel.
Yeah.
Okay, so shall we go back to Semichah in the Rambam? Okay, can you pass one of those to Mati? Because I don't have printouts. Okay, so we were in Perak Hilchos Sefer Shoftim, and now we understand why it's in Sefer Shoftim. Hilchos Sanhedrin, והעונשין, המסורין Lahem, Perak Revi. Sanhedrin, yeah. Perak Revi. Okay, and I'm gonna, since it's been a week, I'm gonna reread these halachos because we only read the first couple last time. Okay, so Echad beis din hagadol o Sanhedrin ketana o beis din shlosha tzrichen shehi kol echad mehen samoch mipi samoch Moshe Rabbeinu samoch Yoshua b'yad shnemar v'yismoch es yadav alav eitzavehu. So whether a big beis din, a small Sanhedrin, or a beis din of 3, each one requires smicha from someone who got smicha. Moshe Rabbeinu gave smicha to Yoshua with his hands, as it says he leaned his hands on him and commanded him. Okay, we read that last time. Same thing with the 70 zakenim. Moshe Rabbeinu gave him smicha, and the shechina rested upon him. Last time we raised the question, what does that mean? Because if you read the Torah, it seems like it means that they got nevuah. But not first of all, what relevance does that have to smicha? Of Osam hazakenim samchu lacherim, and those zakenim gave smicha to others, v'acherim lacherim, and others to others. V'nimtu hasmuchin ish mipi ish on beis din shel Yeshua ad beis din shel Moshe Rabbeinu, and it goes all the way back to the beis din of Yeshua and to the beis din of Moshe. And we asked, why do you need to single out Yeshua and his beis din? V'echad nismach mipi hanasi o mipi echad min hasmuchin afilu lo haya oso hasamoch b'Sanhedrin me'olam. And it doesn't matter whether you get smicha from a nasi or from one of the people who got smicha, even if that person was never on a Sanhedrin. So smicha is not contingent on serving; it's just contingent on getting smicha. How do you do smicha for generations? Lo sheyismechu yedehem al rosh hazaken. Not that they put their hands on the head of the elder. Ela shekoin lo Rebbe. Rather, they call him Rebbe. But omrim lo hare ata samuch. They say, "Behold, thou art samucht." V'yish lecha reshus ladun afilu dine knasos. And he has the ability to judge even dine knasos. And let's just read now knasos since we mentioned that term. Rambam Bekius, who you don't have, says zeaklal kol ha-mashalim ma shehizik harze mamon. Anyone who pays what he damaged, that's mamon. B'chol ha-mashlim mashalim yeser opachos knas. That's an interesting definition. Anyone who pays more or less, that's a knas. That's a penalty. So that's a clear definition, right? Damages is not knasos, but penalties are more or less. Dine knasos enam nidonim ella alide dainam smuchim. And you can only do dine knasos through people who got smicha. Going on in the Rambam, we only perform this smicha, which is the appointment of zakenim for judging, among three. And that's if one of them had smicha from others, as we explained. Okay, that's as far as we read last time. Okay.
So what we say mipiacherim meant?
Yeah, what do we say? We had a question on that last part.
It can't just be that one of them got smicha from someone else. Because it can't be that one of the people in the basin did not got smicha from not that combination of basin, because a person before he has smicha can't give smicha.
Right, he would have had to have gotten smicha from one of the. That's the problem, right? He would have. The problem is like this: is what is he saying when he says this is provided that one of them got smicha from others?
Does it mean that one of them had to have gotten smicha from people who now the other two were?
I guess that must be right. That you can't have gotten smicha from the other two who are serving on the same basin.
And I guess maybe that also be why maybe short individuals came, because if Moshe's the only sort, no.
Meaning, like, if the three of us want to appoint someone else for Dayanos, then we need smicha, and then one of us needs to have gotten smicha from. Wait, no, this is not making any sense.
Well,
then what is? Only one of them needs smicha altogether.
Someone on the
Oh, okay, fine. But the rest of them, okay, that makes more sense. That's it. Means something. You just need three people, but then one of them needs to be samach. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Right, but one of them needs to have actual smicha. Right. He just needs like the turbo rockets, right? Yeah. Okay.
One of them had to have given smicha from the others.
Right. Yeah. Meaning he needs to have received smicha. Yeah.
So,
meaning.
Does that also mean they couldn't have been got smicha from people on that same group?
Yeah, but we're saying that we're saying that even if the other people in the group don't have smicha, meaning if
If they do smicha,
it doesn't matter if he got it from one of them. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. Ein kare Elohim ela beistin shenismechu be'eretz Yisrael bivad.
What's the point of the piacher?
Mipiacherim. I think that just means he got smicha. Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
Why don't you say samach?
I think that's what he means. Moshe Biarnu, as we explained, that is what he meant. As we explained in halach aleph. I think it just means samach. Okay. Ein kare Elohim ela beistin shenismechu be'eretz Yisrael bilvad. We only call Elohim. Now Elohim here does not mean God, right? It means judge, but with the title Elohim. We only call someone Elohim if the only ones we call Elohim are a beistin that was given smicha in Eretz Yisrael. V'hem ha'anashim ha'chachamim ha'ru'uyim ladun. Yeah.
The expression I don't think count, because in the halachos he's saying that all the people in the basin each have had smicha.
That's from Benjamin, not from even people.
Chag.
That's in water. This isn't in water.
Yeah.
It's in water.
Right. Got it? Okay. Ein kore Elohim ela beistin shenismechu be'eretz Yisrael bilvad v'hem hanashim hachachamim haruim ladun shebadku osan beistin shel eretz Yisrael v'himchu osan v'samchu osan. Okay, so this is confusing. So we only call Elohim a beistin that was given smicha in Eretz Yisrael alone, and they are men who are wise, who are roi to give din, who have been examined by a beistin in Eretz Yisrael, and they have attested to their expertise. That's how I would translate himchu, v'samchu osan, and given them smicha. Now, I don't know what the status is of Elohim. Let's look at this. Rambam Bekius. Elohim is kinu l'dayanim, v'dayanim elu yicholim ladun dein knasos. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why he goes into Elohim. Yeah.
I don't know. This is not really a big question, but why is it all in federal punishments?
That's a good question, also. Yeah.
It seems to be more like
Right. I mean, you know what really works out though is for those who hold. I mean, even the Rambam has his own ideas of this, but like my mind goes to Shechina, the Shechina and Eretz Yisrael, but I don't think that plays a halachic role.
Why not?
I mean, Kisha, yeah, I don't know. That's only hard by. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, it's a good valid question.
That's either Shechina or Eretz Yisrael.
Right.
There was maybe Shechina's kilu, Eretz Yisrael was a kilu harbaizer.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, originally, anyone who was ordained could ordain his students. The Chachamim chalku kavod lebeis Hillel hazaken, and the Chachamim apportioned kavod to the house of Hillel hazaken. V'hiskinu shelo yihye adam nismach ela b'reshus hanasi. Yeah, so out of kavod, they said a person can only receive smicha with the permission of the nasi. V'shelo yihye nasi somech ela im kein haya av beisin imo, and that the nasi could only give smicha if the av beisin were present with him. V'lo yihye av beisin somech ela im kein haya hanasi imo, and vice versa. Right? They need one. They can't do one without the other. Aval shar hachavur, like the double key nuclear codes thing, right? Aval shar hachavur, but the rest of the people, I think this means the other Sanhedrin members. Yesh l'chol echad mehem lismoch b'reshus hanasi. They can give smicha with the reshus of the nasi. So that's interesting. So in other words, it's more machmir on the nasi and the av beisin than the rest of the chavurah, right? That the rest of the chavurah only needs permission from the nasi, but the av beisin and the nasi need to be actually present together.
No, read the last sentence.
Okay.
There's one more line. Yeah.
Oh, that's both of them are with him. Shesmicha ena b'pachos mishlosha. I mean, no. I think it is any two, right? Any two, not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Meaning like this. You can only ever give smicha if there are three people, right? It used to be though that the only requirement was one of the three has to have smicha from any other person, right? And no one needs to be present. But then, out of kavod, they said that you can only, like, let's say if I have smicha, I can only give smicha with reshus of the nasi with two other people. But if I'm the av beistin, I need the nasi with me, or if I'm the nasi, I need the av beistin with me. Right?
And who other people are also have to have people?
Yeah, I don't know about that, right? No, shesmicha in it's the same requirement as the previous halacha. Yeah. It's very weird. Yeah, but once you're in the realm of kavod though, then and a takana, then it's not like this is necessary. I mean, you know what it kind of reminds me of? Right, it kind of reminds me of like the I actually don't know the laws, but kind of like the like a justice swearing in a president, like. Yeah, I mean, like in other words, like there's an added degree when like the highest authority in the land, grants the permission, as opposed to like prior to this institution, it was just a matter of like not halavai. That was a funny slip. I was saying halavai transmitting COVID, but that shows where my head is at. Lahem deal, meaning like as long as someone has it, then they can pass it on to someone else, as long as it's under the right conditions of transmission. But with the kavod thing, it's more like a, I mean, I don't know if this is a matter of an additional endorsement or if it was like, if like the nasi was actually involved in like practically approving of the person, like examining him. I don't know how it went. Yeah.
So just think of things first. Is it ma'akiv to have three that can I give smicha? Can I alone, if I have smicha, give smicha? It's just it wouldn't be a good thing, but it's still valid smicha.
I don't think so, right? Sounds like he's only ever said that you need three people.
Like, what's the havamina that you could reduce from three in these new equivocations?
Right. I don't know. I feel like there's not an actual havamina there, but I feel like he has to say it linguistically because
Why does it say it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's just. I think he's just clarifying. I don't think there's actual havamina.
Maybe you think that if the single person is giving since he already has a reshus and nasin, and I would have thrown the al vezna, I'm guessing somehow. Then therefore that counts as 3.
I don't know. I think he's just clarifying.
Why would the al vezna say? It's sourcey saying nasin is not vezna. Like, if you say it's not just about cover, but also about restricting foolish things, then you could say, oh, we need to have the off business approve the announcing because it wants everyone to be approved.
I really don't know. My guess is that this had to do with what do you call political circumstances of some sort. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. I got to check. Yeah, right. I got to check the Lao books on Hilchos Sanhedrin and see if he mentions the circumstances. Okay.
Maybe it's respectful to have the Al-Bezin with him.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
We can't let the Al-Bezin go by himself and say, looks like he's more powerful than Nasi.
Could be. Okay, so we get back to the Eretz Yisrael thing, right? We aren't Somech. The other thing, by the way, that's weird. It's funny how he's calling the people Zakanim. Now I know Zakanim is not right. No, but like you would think like usually we would use the term like Chachamim something. Zakanim is like a very. I mean, it sounds like he's trying to like allude to the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu's basing was Zakanim. Yeah.
Or we were just saying the term Zakanim lawfully means that.
Yeah, but I'm saying why do we use that? Like you don't have to be. There's no halachic status of zakin other than the qualifications of the chachma that you need.
Like there's a lot of respect. I guess like say stand up for an old person. What words are used for old person?
That's seva.
So that means
right.
So that means that maybe zakanim does not mean old zakanim.
No, I know. I know zakanim means chachma, but I'm saying like, why is he invoking that term here?
It doesn't mean chachma. It means smicha.
But you don't. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I definitely don't think it means smicha. Right. I mean, first of all, in the pasuk, then it definitely doesn't mean that because you have to give kavod to any chacham even if he doesn't have smicha, and then here it's referring to the person who has not yet gotten smicha. I mean, you could read it that you're producing that term. I don't know. All right, fine. So you can't give smicha. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then he does. Yeah.
I want to say that's quite because saying that is it like what term would you use for a person who's about to become one?
Right. If I had to guess, I would say that he's just using the lashon of the mikra, and that's an idea that the shivim zakanim constitutes. Yeah. Right. Okay. Anyway, so you only give smicha you cannot give smicha in chutz la'aretz, even if the guy who got smicha was ordained in Eretz Yisrael. Even if you're on the borderline, right? If the somchin are in Israel and the nismachim are outside, you still don't give smicha. Okay, that's a weird havamina. All right. Hayu shnehem ba'aretz somchin also af al pi she'eno im hasomchin b'makom echad. So you don't need to be in the same location. As long as both of them are in the aretz, then they're good. Ella sholchin lo o kosvin lo shu samach. You can send an agent, or you can write to him a certificate, right? Okay. V'nosim lo reshus ladun deinei knasos. And he has the permission to paskin dina knasos hoyo ushneim ba'aretz, since they are both in the land. B'chol Eretz Yisrael shehachziku ba ole mitzrayim ru'uya l'smicha. That's weird. All of the Eretz Yisrael that was that the ole mitzrayim were machzik are roy for smicha. Yeah.
Also, I think that clarifies this. It just sort of confers about the shnu they need two others earlier, because you might have thought that a reshus from the Nasi already counts as the second person.
I don't think so. I don't think that's Hamina. I think it's just clarifying.
Why can't the Nasi give it? The Nasi's reshus should count. Why can't?
Because for the reason that you said is that you need 3 minimum.
You don't have to do minimum, so the Nasi's including your 3.
Oh, that's what you're saying. I thought you meant like the Nasi himself counts as 2.
No.
Oh, fine. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay, I hear that then. Yeah, right. That makes sense then. Right. So in other words, you need three. I mean, it was like this. I think the way I'm reading this halacha here is the somchin. You need three people. The three somchin need to be together, but they can. The nismach does not need to be in the same room with them. Say again. The three somchin have to be together, right? Because otherwise it's not a beis din, right? That makes sense. Okay, so it all works out. Okay. You can the somchim can give smicha even to 100 people at one time, right? David Melech samach shloshim elef biyom echad. What? David Melech gave smicha to 30,000 on one day. Wow, talk about a chag smicha. V'yesh lahem lamanos l'chol ma sheyirtu l'dvarim meyichidim v'hu sheyiroy l'chol dvarim. Oh, that's interesting. So you can appoint people, anyone you want, for individual things, and that's provided they are a roy for those things. Let's see, this might be relevant to our sugya now, right? Ketzad. Yeah, right. But okay, let's just check this out. This might be more relevant than I thought. Ketzad chacham mufla now zakin a chacham, a great chacham shiroy lahoros b'chol Torah kula, who's fit to give Horaah in all of the Torah. Yesh lebeistin lismoch oso v'litin l'reshus ladun. Okay, so this is like a hybrid of like higil Horaah permission, but also smicha. So the beis din, meaning an actual beis din that has smicha, can be somech him to give him permission to be done. O lo lahoros be'isr v'heter, right? Meaning that's just one example. O yitnu lo reshus lahoros be'isr v'heter lo ladun b'dinei mamanos. O yitnu lo reshus lazel v'lazeh. So you could, he's mixing his terms here, right? They can give him permission to judge, but not to give Horaah and Isser and Heter. Or they could give him permission to give Horaah and Isser and Heter, but not to judge Dine Mamanos, not Knasos, Dine Mamanos. Or they could give him permission for this and for this, but not to judge Dine Knasos. Ola dun Dine Knasos, or to judge Dine Knasos v'lo lahatir b'choros b'muman, but not to permit firstborns based on their blemishes. O yitnu lo reshus lahatir nadarim bilvad, or they could give him permission to permit nadarim to release from nadarim. O liros katamim, or to look at blood stains, and other things. So sounds like what he's saying here is some mixture. Right, he's talking about Horaah and din, yeah. Yeah. Right, but he hasn't done that until now, right? Yeah.
And then they only appoint him for this particular. Does that mean, let's say, on only not for female?
Yeah.
Not like other things.
Right.
And on that,
that's what it sounds like, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to. Yeah. Right. Let me just repeat that. Sounds like the Rambam saying that the only person who you could give partial smicha to is someone who is roy lahoros b'chol Torah kula. But if you're only roy lahoros in dine mamanos, then they can't give you this limited smicha for dine mamanos. Sounds like that, right? Look at Rav Bekius. He says mufla shiroy lahoros b'chol Torah kula mumche ubaki. He has to be an expert, and proficient. B'chol Torah kishem shemishnah Torah osek b'chol Torah kula. Just like the Mishnah Torah is osek in the entire Torah. Yeah, that's very interesting.
I just heard imagine a guy. He's a genius in Torah, but he has no understanding of modern economics. So you can give him permission for us to Heter to say Shabbos, but he doesn't understand modern economics, even the slightest bit. So there's no way you can trust him with the.
I mean, you're giving an analogy, right? Because this is talking about kol Torah kula. You don't need expertise in modern economics.
Exactly. I have kol Torah kula. We still should not be doing everything. Kol Torah kula. We don't have modern economics, so therefore we should not be trusted with.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, Oren.
If this guy knows everything, then why are we bothering to only give him, smicha in part? Why don't we just give him smicha for everything if he knows everything?
Right. Yeah. So the Yosef was giving an example of why, let's say, certain areas of halacha you can know all the halachos, but if you don't know certain other real world chachmos, then we don't want you being authorized for that. Like let's say you're a bucky in all medical halacha, but you are you're a quack when it comes to like medicine. So like it's saying that we wouldn't want to give you smicha that would authorize you in that area.
So he doesn't know.
I have
No, you
another
follow
example.
halacha.
So you have to be like a doctor.
Yeah, like we wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying like that would be a reason they might not want to give him that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is actually, like, I think what the Rambam was referencing when he talks about being matir b'choros.
Yeah.
So in the Gemara, Rav did not get permission to be matir b'choros, and one of the explanations that's given is that is because he was too good at it, because because he really knew what he was doing, and then then people he matir things that people would think were definitely usher, and then they'd draw false conclusions from that.
Right. So that's another consideration is political reasons, right? And I mean that's political halakhic reasons, but like meta halakhic considerations. Yeah. Yeah. Oren, is your hand still because you have a new question, or is that left over from before?
Nope, I just forgot to put it down.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss you. Okay. You could also give expiration dates for your smicha, right? See, yeah, now it's two things. Ladun o lahoros. Right? Oh, yeah, right. Meaning lahoros, he just means because ladun is only for dinik knasos and dinik nefashos. Yeah, I can find, yeah. Odd. But still, this is still preserving the distinction because there's meaning maybe here you can make a differentiation between Horaah as a dayan or as a musmach versus like what we call Horaah, which is the like just the result of your Talmud Torah. Yeah, but I don't know. This it feels like it's talking about a different type because you don't, generally speaking, you don't need reshus from a Bastian to give Horaah. You just need reshus from your Rebbe.
Yeah, you don't need.
Right. Yeah.
It could just be sort of it's usher, but it's like right now church will pay usher, but we have no other choice.
No, I don't think so. Okay. Anyway, so you could give you could say yesh lecha reshus ladun lahoros ad sheyavo hanasi lakan until the nasi gets here, right? So, what do you call that? Like emergency, right? Like let's say they're waiting for the nasi to come to Paskin, but like you need an emergency smicha, so you can like send out a carrier pigeon that says you got smicha until the nasi arrives. Oh, kozman she'in at imana b'benina, or as long as you're not with us in the country. So when he says ad zman, it's funny. It's zman, but it's not like calendar date zman. It's like until certain circumstances happen.
I don't know. I think you could also say calendar zman.
No, you could. Yeah, right. I'm just saying like it's beyond just calendar zman. All right. Chacham mufla shahaya somech be'eno achas. I was just going to ask this question. Just kidding. A great Chacham who is blind in one eye. Ava pishu roy ledine mamanos. Even though he is fit for dine mamanos, ein somchin also ledine mamanos. Mipnei she'eno roy lechol hadvarim. Then you can't. Even though he's roy for dine mamanos in terms of his knowledge, you can't give him smicha for dine mamanos because he's not roy in all things. Similarly with everything. So what does the blindness in the eye have to do with anything? So
changes sense of view, which changes how I value stuff. And then
oh, interesting. The Rambam Bekius says the reason you can't be done a din in nefashos if you're blind. That's interesting. I wonder why. I don't know.
Why does that do with the imam?
No. In other words, that's the chiddush, is that in isolation, there's no requirement to be seeing in order to do dine mamanos, but there is one to be done dine nefashos, and you can't get smicha for dine mamanos if you're not roy for all devarim. Like you said earlier, right? You need to be yeah, right. In every area. Right, yeah. Yeah.
Like I was saying before.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I guess it's just these politics reasons.
Politics reasons still apply. Yeah. Okay. Now we get to the controversial halacha. How to restore smicha b'zman hazeh. Right? This is I think a lot of people talk about this.
Do the impossible.
Okay, let's see here. Not according to the Rambam, right?
Daniel all just agrees impossible.
Oh yes, that's impossible. Yeah. Harish lo hayab Eretz Yisrael ela samach echad. Let's say there's only one guy who has smicha in all of Eretz Yisrael. Moshiv shnayim betzida v'somech shivim ke'echad ozeh achar zeh. So you could put two people next to him, and he can give smicha to 70 as one ozeh achar zeh. I mean 70 at the same time, or to one after the other. The achar kach ye'aseh hu b'hashivim beis din agadol, and then he and the rest of the beis din, all the people who he gave smicha to can and the rest of the 70 can become a beis din agadol. V'yismuchu bate dinin acherim, and then they can be somech other bate dinim. Why does he have to do that?
Why didn't they say?
Yeah, right. That's what Yeshua did. Yeah.
Maybe there's a different shame based in each other.
That's what it sounds like he's saying, right? It sounds like that when a smicha emerges from a beis din agadol, it sounds like that's different than a regular smicha, but he didn't differentiate about that earlier. Oh, it's interesting. I mean, I see what Rav Makbili says on. He says Moshe v'shnayim betida afilu hedyotos. Okay, meaning even ordinary people. All right, fine. I mean, but that doesn't help you get people qualified. I don't know.
Well, if you need the Nasi's permission, you need a basic for it to be a Nasi of.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no Nasi, then you wouldn't need his permission. Wait, when you said what? Yeah. Sounds like Halku Kavod does not sound like Lashon of like halacha, right? Sounds like you just like made it a policy. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know why do we need this halacha altogether? Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Which halacha are you saying?
Yod Aleph 1. We like everything in that halacha seemingly we know from elsewhere. From earlier, yeah. Okay, let's do this. Yeah.
Maybe just saying the factual thing to be aware of that once you are told 70, you automatically forms a beis din, and once you have the beis din, then all the previous rules about Nasi and off beis din start applying again.
Yeah, it could be, but it sounds like he's getting it more than that. But here's the new thing that he says though: "V'yismechu bate dinim acherim." They can be somech bate dinim acherim. Right? We haven't seen that institution of setting up courts. We've only seen the institution of being somech people, individuals. Right? It sounds like he's saying that you need the beis din agadol to create courts, and it's possible that he said that. I'm not sure because we didn't read the first. Oh, it's not up here. Yeah, I mean, the question is, how do you set up bate dinim, right? Like in Hilchos Sanhedrin, you don't have to write this down yet until I see whether we are actually whether this applies. Yeah. I don't know. That's what I would assume that there is something special about setting up courts as opposed to being somech individuals. Yeah, that's what it implies. What was that, Mati? Because it starts off with only one guy. Yeah, yeah.
Well, you said that you cannot give smicha unless you're roy in something, so that if a person doesn't have a beis din, they're not roy to ladin.
Oh, that's interesting.
So they can only give smicha for din once they're roy to give din.
This is
You can't give smicha. Sorry, I'm raising you. Or at least you cannot receive smicha unless you're First, the idea of being royal is something. I try to maybe without the base, you're not roy to do din. As in, without there existing a Sanhedrin, there's no roy to do din, and that somehow that messes up getting smicha.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Let's actually stop for today and then save the spicy one for tomorrow. And I think we'll probably finish this these halachos tomorrow. Yeah. All righty. Have a good day. And now I gotta wait till this non-cloud recording processes.